Hey, what's going on? My name is Andy Monroe, the co-founder of Bullish Events, and I wanted to record you guys a quick video talking about why small events are better. And I'm super excited to talk about this because when we talk to coaches and consultants that want to get into the events industry, most people want to throw a really big event, and it makes sense. I mean, we've seen the Tony Robbins. I've even been behind the scenes of really large events, in the 1,000 to 2,000 attendee range, and they're fun. They're great. They look cool. You get really cool pictures. But for most coaching and consulting businesses, starting off with the 1,000, 1,500, 2,000 attendee event, even the 500 or the 250 attendee event usually isn't the best idea. And we've seen, and I think it's pretty conclusive right now in the events industry, that we've seen a lot of people out there are saying that they have seen as well that small events convert better and are just a better experience for the attendees. So that's going to be the topic for today's video. Just a little background on who I am, the co-founder of Bullish Events. We've been in the events industry for about 5 years now. We've been able to generate over $10 million in revenue from live events. We've had over 6,500 attendees come through our in-person experiences at this point. So with all that being said, let's jump into it. Does size matter when it comes to events? I'm here to say it doesn't. My first event was a 1,200 attendee event in Las Vegas, Nevada. That was quite the way to rip the Band-Aid off. It was for a first-time event professional. 1,200 attendees is a lot. It was a big ordeal. It was a very heavy lift, but we got it done. It was a really good event. And the next year, we scaled that event up to around 2,000 attendees. I believe we sold like 2,200 tickets, maybe around like 1,900 or 1,800 people showed up. So right in that 2,000 attendee range. And then the year after that was around 1,700 to 1,800 attendees, I believe. So pretty large event. This was all for one company. The company was called Fun Launch. At the time, I was a partner at Fun Launch, and we really wanted to do this big event to kind of solidify ourselves as category kings in the industry and kind of just dominate all the other competition that we were up against. And it accomplished that, but we probably could have done that with, an event of, a third of the size. It didn't have to be so big. And we really got caught up in the idea that the event has to be huge. I'm actually going to show you guys some pictures real quick. Let's see if this works. I want to share. I want to present. So right here, this was the first event. So around 900 attendees, 3-day event in Las Vegas, Nevada. And we generated around $3.6 million in revenue from this event, which is pretty good. It was our first event we had ever done, at least first our public event. We'd done a few private events for our clients, but this was the first public event that we had done. And it was a huge success. Like $3.6 million payday was awesome. Let me go back to, these are some of the other events we've done. Right here, let's go. That's one of them, but I want to start with this one. So this was the biggest event we did, Miami, Florida, 1,800 attendees, 3 days, over $4.4 million in revenue generated from ticket sales and high ticket upsales. So some cool pictures. We had Ed Milet come speak, which was awesome. A lot of people in the room. But you can see from 900 attendees to 1,800 attendees, the revenue didn't double. We were hoping it would double. We were hoping for around $8 million, $9 million, even $10 million in revenue. But we rose not even $1 million. It was about like, $750,000 more in revenue. We definitely spent more on this event as well. So at the end of the day, it kind of ended up being the same. And it was just way more of a headache because we had so many more people in the room and we didn't really see the returns. And then this one right here, 1,500 attendees, we actually made less. It was 3 days. This one was in Orlando, Florida. Had some really cool speakers, and that's Oren Claff right there. Really cool audio visual setup with the arrows. And we had 1,500 attendees. We made $2.4 million in revenue, which is a good payday. But as you can see, our most successful event was the smaller one. And we think back on it, and it could have been even better if we had 500 people in the room, or even like 250, 200. If the people in the room were all extremely high quality, and we didn't have to spend that much money, even if we would have made $1 or $2 million instead of 3.6. If you take out all of the costs, it would have, arguably been a better experience and it made more financial sense for the company. But, everything makes sense when you look back on it. So those are just some examples, just showing you the numbers of why I believe that smaller events convert better. And even like 900 attendees is definitely not considered a small event. Here, one second, I'm trying to get my camera back over. All right, we're back. So we had the idea that the bigger the event, the better it was going to be. And we just had this idea that we wanted to keep scaling it. Like we had that first event that was 900 attendees. We're like, okay, we got to get to 2,000. Then that next year, the third year, I'm going to be completely honest with this. We wanted to hit like 3,000 or 4,000 attendees, and we just saw that it wasn't going to happen. Our TAM was pretty small. The event was for fund managers, so people that are actively looking to or wanting to or running a fund. It's a pretty small TAM, so we realized we kind of hit like this volume barrier in the industry, but we wanted to keep scaling the event up in terms of attendee size. Like we weren't focused on anything else except for ticket sales and attendee size, and we did some pretty just bad thing. Not bad, like not illegal, but we would do some giveaways. We had like really low ticket prices. We would do like a buy one, get one free. We'd be like, oh, if you buy one, you can bring a friend. It was just like, it was very chaotic because we just wanted to maximize how many people were in the room. That just looking back on it was a huge mistake. It ended up fine. It was totally good. We achieved most of our objectives for the event, but looking back on it, we would have just done it, so differently. However, as the event got bigger, the revenue we were generating barely grew, and our close rate got smaller and smaller. So I kind of showed you guys that, but that's a good point to mention. As our event got bigger, I mean, it's kind of obvious, but the amount of people that we were closing, the close rate, it dropped. I think we started out around like 12 to 15% in that first event. Then it was around like 10% and around like 8%. I'm not like, this is just kind of what I'm trying to remember right now. So that's not like an exact number, but it was in that range. As you can see, the close rate began to drop as the event got bigger, which makes sense. But, if looking back on that, we should have just been like, okay, let's like make the event smaller so we can increase our close rate. That's how I think about it now. But back then, we didn't have that information yet. And Steve Warner, he's someone that creates a lot of really good YouTube content around events. I actually had a conversation with him. He has an amazing book on event marketing. But in one of his videos, he stated that he starts to see conversions fall off around 50 to 75 attendees, which it makes sense, but like it's just our paradigm for wanting to have the biggest event possible. Then hearing somebody who's been in the game, longer than I have say that 50 to 75 people is the sweet spot for conversions, then it starts to drop off after that. It's kind of crazy. Definitely shatters the paradigm. So this led me to the realization that changed my events philosophy forever. This is how we operate now. Everything I just mentioned was an old version of myself. We've reinvented ourselves at Bullish Events. And our philosophy now is smaller events are better. More intimate, more experiential, more focused events are better. And obviously, this isn't binary. I'm not going to tell every single person that, yes, smaller events are better. Like, maybe for Tony Robbins, big events are better. Maybe even for Fun Launch at the time. Maybe we were ready to have a 1,200 attendee event. And like the fact that we were even able to like get that, sell that many tickets was a pretty cool indicator that maybe we were ready to kind of speed run the event size game. But I'd say for most coaching consulting companies, especially ones that are just getting into the game, smaller events are better. That's our philosophy, and we think that they perform just much better. So I'm going to dive into the why right now. Up first is you can optimize for higher quality attendees. So if you are looking to have 50 attendees in the room rather than 250 or 300, you can really focus on getting high quality people in the room. You can charge more for your ticket prices. You can be more, laser focused. Actually, that's a separate point down here. You can be more focused and targeted with your marketing. You can like send out personal invitations to people. You can start the Dream 100 event attendees. If you're not familiar with the Dream 100 strategy with Russell Brunson, he's like kind of been a big advocate of that, but just really investing in relationships and making sure that every single attendee in the room is high quality. That just significantly increases the quality of the event overall. Higher close rate, obviously, if you have higher quality attendees in the room and there's a low amount of them, you can really close a lot of the room, significantly increase your close rate. Better experience for the attendees, so it's less intimidating. If you have a 500 to 1,000 person event, it's kind of intimidating for people to go up and meet each other, go cold approach other attendees, go and like insert yourself in groups. There's just so many people and so many options, so many different people you can talk to, which kind of leads a lot of people to talk to nobody and like kind of stick to their friend group or their business group, whoever they came to the event with. But with a smaller event, if there's 30 people in the room, there's 30 people for you to talk to. So it's just way less intimidating. And if everybody in the room is high quality, it's just going to elevate the experience for all the attendees. And of course, there's less financial risk. This is a huge one. With these bigger events, we were spending, 500,000, 750,000. I think we cracked like 1.1 million on our biggest event. Huge expenses, had like massive AV production. We had a lot of food and beverage, the room rental fee. We had to buy all the registration stuff, all the merchandise. Like there was a ton of expenses that went into these large events. And it was cool. And luckily we made a decent amount of money to cover that cost and even see some profit. But when you have 25, 50, 75 attendees in the room, the financial risk is just it's nothing. You can, at this point, you don't even have to do an event in a conference room or like a resort. You could go on Peerspace and find a venue. Steve Werner, actually, in one of his videos too, he talked about like co-working spaces. So you can go find these other locations. You can even do it in your house. If you have a big house and you have like 15 to 20 attendees, if it works out, you can invite them to your house, or you can rent out an Airbnb for the day, whatever it is. There's so many different options to reduce the costs, and you can also save on food and beverage, which is like, that's where they get you. You have to, in some of our events, we're spending like 75 to $100 per plate for an attendee, which is just ridiculous. So if you have an event with 25 to 30 people, you can DoorDash, Chick-fil-A, Chipotle. Maybe you want to go higher quality for your attendees, but you get the point. You can really reduce the financial risk, and it can just be a much safer play for your business if you do a smaller event. There's also no fourth wall. So I'm sure you guys are familiar with the fourth wall in a movie. It's like just like the wall, the barrier between what's going on the screen and what's happening in the audience. Even like on Broadway and stuff, there's always a fourth wall, like very separate from the attendees to the performance that's going on. And the same kind of happens with events. At our big 1,000 attendee events, there was definitely a fourth wall going on where Bridger, the face of Fun Launch, he's the one that's on stage most of the time. And with like all the big shining lights and all the people in the crowd, like he would always say, like, I can only see the first row of people and the rest is just like nothing, which is naturally establishes a fourth wall. And it's hard for a speaker to be like to get more engaged with the audience when there's a ton of attendees in the room. So when you have a smaller event of like 25 to 50 people, there's no fourth wall. You can get very, very experiential, very, very, what's the word for it? You can connect with your audience. You can connect with every single person in the room, which is very special, and it helps the trust and rapport just skyrocket. And then after that, you can be more lean and creative with marketing. So if you have a smaller event, you don't have to run ads. Like we were cranking ads for these multi-thousand attendee events because we kind of had to. We had an email list that we were marketing to. It's social media. We were doing some invitations, but to sell that high volume of tickets, we had to start running some ads. With 25 to 50 people, you don't have to run ads. You can do some very creative marketing strategies. You can send personal invitations to people. You can go knock on doors if you wanted to. I mean, we've never done that, so I can't recommend it. But there's a lot of different strategies you can deploy that are more lean and creative when it comes to marketing smaller events. They're usually cheaper, so it can save you more money as well. And your event can sell out. If you are hosting smaller events, if you have 25 attendees, you can definitely sell out a 25 attendee event. And you can start to market that as like, oh, this is a sold out event. You can leverage that for future event marketing. You can use it in your marketing for other products. It just really elevates you as an authority in your industry. So if you have a smaller event, it's much easier to sell out, and you can leverage that in your marketing campaigns. And then you don't need a sales team. For smaller events, you can probably handle a room of 50 to 75 people with, 1 to 3 people that are going to be, having conversations and getting people across the line. They don't even necessarily need to be sales reps at this point. They can just be somebody that's like very educated on your program, your offer, your brand, whatever it is. And you, as well as the host, you can go back and you can talk to people in the room. And if you have 30 people in the room, you can probably talk to almost everybody. So if you have one other person there to help you out, that's totally fine. But when you up here for these multi-thousand attendee events, we had the whole sales team was there. Like the entire Fun Launch sales team was there, trying to help close people. And it's just a huge lift. And also you have to worry about commissions and making sure all that stuff makes sense. So it's a big headache. So if you have a smaller event, you don't really need to rely on the sales team. And you can, like I already mentioned this, but you can have conversations with everyone in the room. This definitely builds trust and rapport, which will help with your conversions. And finally, you can cater the event to be laser focused on your attendees' problems. So if you have, let's just call it 50 people in the room, you can really gather a lot of information before the event about every single attendee. Then you can use that information to build out your event. So maybe you understand the number one problem that everybody in the room is experiencing. And let's say like 30 out of 50 people are all experiencing the same problem. You should probably focus most of your event on that problem. Up here in the larger event range, the 1,000, 2,000 attendees, we tried to collect as much much data as possible before the event, but we really just had to guess on what we wanted to talk about because of how many people were in the room, and we weren't able to collect data on every single attendee. So when you have a smaller event, you can definitely collect a lot of data. You can also like gather their objections, like what objections are they coming into the event with, and you can like bake that into your pitch and your offer to make sure that you're handling those objections. You can get very, very creative and like in the weeds when you have a smaller event, which is awesome. Now, all of this being said, I'm sure you're asking like, okay, like how big should my event be? This is obviously it's hard to have like a binary number in this. But if it's your first time hosting an event, if you're running your own coaching or consulting business and you're about to host an event, I would recommend 20 to 30 attendees. I know like we're conditioned to think bigger is better with events, but I promise you, based on our experience, smaller is better. And then you can always scale up. But I promise you, you will not regret starting with a smaller event in the 20 to 30 attendee range, and then you can scale from there. So that's just my recommendation. If you're watching this event and you're a first time event host, I'd recommend starting in that 20 to 30 attendee range, and then you can scale up from there. If you're already hosting events, like maybe you've already hosted a 50-person event or 100-person event, you probably know how it went. If you are comfortable with staying there, you can just stay in that range, or you can start to slowly scale up. But I would really prioritize all of these bullet items here. Optimizing for high quality attendees, being able to collect a lot of data on your attendees, making the experience very high quality for your attendees. Like as you start to scale up, you're going to start to lose some of these really beneficial aspects of hosting small events. So just warning there, if you want to scale up your events, I would significantly recommend. I would really recommend that you stay in the smaller event range rather than scaling up, because just based on experience, we started big and scaled backwards. Hosting smaller events is so much better for so many reasons. So that's just my 2 cents. Obviously, we all have free will. I guess that's a debated topic, but you can make your own choices. If you want to do a big event, it can happen. It can work. We made it work, but I would definitely recommend doing a smaller event. Now, if you are a coach or consultant that's currently hosting your own events, you're not really seeing the results that you want to see, or you're a coach or consultant that wants to start hosting events, but you just don't know where to start. We actually have a free school community that you can join. I'm actually going to pull it up real quick. Let's go over here to school. Hopefully you guys can still see all of this. Wait for it to load. School. Bullish Events, that's the name of our company. So we have this free school community, and it's just a place for people in the coaching consulting industry that are hosting live events to come and just talk. We obviously post our content there. We post our wins. We share the stuff that's working for us. But there's also other people in this room, like Felix right here. We worked with him on an event, and he just posted like his recap video from his event. And we're trying to make this a place where people can just share their ideas and really just share their wins, share what's working, share what's not working when it comes to live events. So almost like a mastermind for live events, which is pretty cool. Then over here in the classroom, we have a few other things that you can dive into. We have our event launch module. We have some event tools that we're building. We have our case studies. Then we have this full masterclass it's completely free. We sold this for a while for, it was, the price point was like $3,000. And then we just realized, like, let's just give it away for free. Like, we're a done for you business. You can see over here in the classroom, our offers are done with you event services. So for $1,000 a month, we can hold your hand through your event planning process and help you out with your marketing and your monetization and all the logistics and coordination. Or we have our done for you services, which start at $10,000. We don't sell a course or anything like that. So we just gave away this whole thing for free. So everywhere from event logistics, event marketing, event monetization, event templates, resources, bonuses, all that stuff completely free in this module or in this community. And that's it's a think tank for people in the coaching consulting industry that are hosting live events. You can see there's 140 other people in here that are all hosting live events and talking about live events. And it's pretty cool. So the link to this will be in the description below. If you want to join, click it. It's free. I'd love to talk to you, love to brainstorm. And if you want to, work with us with the done with you or the done for you, we can have that conversation. If not, you can just join this and share how your live events journey is going. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.